Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Taylor with Studio Ace and I'm going to be your art teacher today. We're thinking about summertime picnic and today we're going to be doing a really fun art project where we're going to make an actual picnic basket with food and snacks and sweets and everything inside all out of paper. So get your materials together and let's get started. All right, before I start an art project, I always want to make sure I have all of my necessary materials on hand. So to create this picnic basket, the materials that I need are a full piece of brown paper. If you don't have brown paper, you could totally use another color. That's just what I think of when I think of a picnic basket, like brown or tan. A pipe cleaner, which are these kind of furry guys. Different colored paper. If you've already made your glass of lemonade, you should have a pretty big piece of white paper left over and also a little bit of yellow left over as well. And that's what I'm going to use today for my picnic basket items, food items. But if you didn't have any of that left over, any colored paper will do because you can color it in with markers or crayons or colored pencils. So if white is all you have, then use white. And then of course you're going to need a pencil or marker, ruler, scissors, and glue. And if you already watched the lemonade video, you'll know that if you don't have a ruler, another option is using the side of a book or a spiral notepad or anything that has a straight edge. So let's go ahead and get started creating the basket of our picnic basket. Make sure you have your instructions from your kit on hand. I'm going to put everything off to the side. And you can either start with your paper vertical or horizontal. For this project, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with it vertical for right now. Step 1, it says fold brown paper in half. So I'm going to take the two bottom corners of it positioned vertically, and I'm going to take it all the way up to the top, corner to corner. Make sure it's lined up. Hold it down with one hand. Kind of bring my finger down, and then just slide it back and forth till I get a nice crisp fold. And I've heard students in the past say that this is the hamburger fold. So when you open it up, kind of looks like a card. Whereas if I were to fold long, skinny wise, that would be the hot dog fold. So we did the hamburger fold. So now that I have it folded in half, I'm going to take my ruler. And what it says draw straight lines in pencil or black marker every 1 inch and then divide to make them look like bricks. This is going to create kind of a basket weave feeling. Since my paper is so dark, I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie today so you can see it on the camera. You use a pencil if you feel more comfortable with that. That way you can erase if you mess up or anything. If you don't feel comfortable measuring with your ruler, you can also just use the ruler itself. So, for example, if I were to put this right on the top edge and draw a line, and I'm just going to, for the sake of this, draw with my pencil. Okay, and if I were to measure where that line is from the top to that line, it's about an inch, almost an inch and a quarter. So that's just a little bit bigger than an inch, so that will work fine. So if you're someone that's not that comfortable with measuring yet, just use your ruler as the width. It's a little bit bigger than an inch, but it'll work just fine, and draw a line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again, just so you can see. I have it lined up nice and straight. I'm holding down my ruler, one hand. All right, and then we have the first line of our basket weave. If you do know how to measure, I'm going to go ahead and position it on its side. And I'm going to start off on that first line that I created, just so we can go over how to measure. I'm going to put my ruler on the 0 mark, and I'm going to make a mark on the inch, the 2, the 3, and then the 4. And I don't have enough room for the 5. And then I'm just going to slide my ruler down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other end of my paper. This is to ensure that I get a nice straight line. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable measuring, just use your ruler, right? And just trace it as many times as it will fit all the way down. So with measuring on both edges of the paper, this ensures that you get a nice straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and use my marker so you can see it on the camera. I'm going to put my marker on that first mark, line my ruler up with the second mark, and draw a nice straight line. If you don't make a mark on both sides of the paper, especially when you're just starting out learning about how to make art, learning how to draw, you will probably end up with a crooked line. So that's why it's important to always measure on both sides to make sure that you get a nice straight line. So now I have some nice parallel lines for the front of my basket weave. And if you can see on your instruction sheet, if you look very closely, you can kind of see where the little lines are to create the feelings of bricks. So I'm just going to create a vertical line, right, up and down, and then make another one. I'm just going to kind of space them out like rectangles. They don't have to be precise. Okay, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And then for my next row of basket weave, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to go in between the lines that I've already created. So I'm going to start right here, make a vertical line, and over here. And then that's what you're going to do all the way down the paper. And you can really just copy the lines that you did on the second to previous one. And it's going to kind of look like a basket weave, like so. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the back. But since we already learned how to do it, go ahead and rewind if you forgot each step, and then it'll be much easier to do in the back again. All right? Let's see here. What does our instructions say? Now we're going to cut off a diagonal line off both sides of our paper to create a sort of basket shape. And you will see from one that I've already made, we want it to kind of look like this, right? So we're just going to take a little bit of a triangle off each end, and then we can always round it at the top as well. So you can use your ruler again, and like I said, if you don't have a ruler lying around, the side of a book or a notepad will work just as well. I'm going to start right in this corner. I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to kind of make a little bit of a triangle shape. I'm just going to eyeball it because it doesn't have to be perfect. This is art after all. We want them all to be a little different. Start off in the corner, nice little diagonal line, like so. And now I have my basket. So I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to cut right on the side of my diagonal. Make sure that your paper is still folded, right? Because then you're cutting both sides of the paper together so they're even. And you can leave it really straight like this if you like it like that. That's totally fine. I like to round it a little bit at the top. I always feel like baskets are pretty round because they are made by hand. They're weaved by human hands, so they're never straight and perfect. All right, now I have my picnic basket. So let's see here. Now we're going to cut a pipe cleaner in half to form a half circle to create 2 handles for our basket. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Okay, I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, and how to cut it in half so it's even is just take one end and line it up with the other end. Fold it in half. Take your scissors, cut it right on the fold. Boop. Now I have 2 that are exactly the same size. And I'm going to just form one. And kind of look like a half circle. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? And then we're going to put one on this side and one on the other side. Like that. I'm going to take my glue. This always takes a little bit, takes a while to dry. This step always takes a while to dry. So I want to go ahead and put some glue on each end, and I'm going to put this off to the side so it has plenty of time to dry while we work on our food items that are going to go inside our picnic basket. Go ahead and give it a little bit of pressure. Really cake that glue on to make sure that it's going to stick. Really push it down. You could even fold it back together if you want, and then kind of put it off to the side to dry. Isn't that cute? Now we have our little picnic basket. All right, our next step is to make all the food that's going to go inside our picnic basket. So here's one that I already finished, that's already been glued down. And for this one, I thought about, what do I really enjoy eating when I'm on a picnic? What are some easy foods that stay nice and crisp and delicious when you're out at the park or at the beach? And I think the number one we always think about is a sandwich. Maybe for you it's a hamburger, but for me it's definitely a sandwich with lots of veggies and cheese and meat and goodies. I love fruit, so I always bring fruit with me on a picnic. I drew a couple of strawberries, I have a banana, an orange. I love cheese. You can never have enough cheese. I've got cheese on my sandwich and a slice of cheese here as well. And then who doesn't love the dessert? I think about maybe if the ice cream cart walks by, or the ice cream man drives by and you hear that music, you might have an ice cream on your picnic, or maybe your mom and you made some cupcakes that day to bring on your picnic as well. Now, you are going to have different favorite foods than me, so please draw your favorite foods and just think about, brainstorm with your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother, and what are your favorite foods? Maybe it's a bag of Doritos, maybe it's blueberries. Whatever foods you like, please draw those for your picnic basket. All right, so our next step is going to draw them out. So we're going to use any colored paper that we have left over. Go ahead and put this off to the side. I have a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white paper left over from when we made our glass of lemonade. So I'm going to draw any food I want for my picnic. I'm going to add color with colored pencils or markers. And there's some ideas on your instruction sheet as well. Sandwich, cheese, fruit, veggies, cookies. Ooh, cookies. Delicious. So let's go ahead and start with a nice, easy fruit, which is the strawberry. So if you take your pencil and you think about the shape of a strawberry, right? It's kind of a little bit like a triangle shape, but rounded on all the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by drawing a triangle, because maybe you've never drawn a strawberry before and you're like, I don't know if I can do it. So I'm going to draw a triangle shape, and then I'm going to go back on top and I'm going to round off the edges on all of the triangles. So now I have rounded triangle shapes here. And that's really all it takes to make a strawberry. So now I can go back and I can darken it. Here I'll use my marker. You can use colored pencil, crayon, anything you'd like. And then I'm going to make a cute little topper for it, which if you look at it, it's just a bunch of little zigzag lines. So I'm going to zigzag like it's got funny hair. You would want to use green for the top. I'm just using black for the sake of being able to see this really well on your video. And then if you want to do a little bit of a stem, it's just a curved line, kind of thickened like so. And now I have a strawberry. And then once you color it in with your red color pencil, you can also put little tiny dots for the seeds. And last but not least, I would erase those pencil lines that I had there. And then I have strawberry. And then you would make your strawberry with whatever color you have laying around, whether it's with marker, colored pencil, or crayon. And then you have a really delicious fruit for your picnic. So next one I'm going to do is a piece of cheese. I'm going to use my yellow paper this time, because a lot of times cheese is yellow or orange. I think Swiss cheese is so much fun to draw and to cut out because of all the little holes. But you could do cheddar cheese, mozzarella. What's your favorite? I don't know. So it's really just a nice big rectangle shape. So I already have a straight line here and here. So I can just bring that down and make another line that's parallel to the edge. And now I have a rectangle. So before I cut that rectangle out, I'm going to make some holes in my cheese. So you could do little half circles coming off the edge. Maybe up here too, as many as you want. Maybe there's 3, maybe there's 4. And then just some kind of wonky, wobbly circles through the middle. And then I would probably go back in with orange or yellow color pencil. Maybe do a little bit of shading, which you can see I have a little bit of shading on this one. Maybe go around where your pencil marks were. Obviously, you'd want to spend a little bit more time with it, depending on how artistic you want to get with it. And then the trick to cutting out Swiss cheese, the outside half circles are pretty easy. right? These little guys on the outside. If you put your scissors on the end of the half circle and then just kind of make sure you turn your paper, that makes it a little bit easier to cut them out. The tricky ones are the ones that are in the middle. So if you just slightly fold your paper, don't fold it too much, just right where that dot is, and then you cut out as if you were cutting out a half circle. Much easier than trying to do it without. And then you have a hole in your cheese, like so. Some people like to just poke the scissors through and make a hole and cut around the hole. You could do that too, but I find it a little bit easier to just kind of fold the paper a little bit in half right on that circle and then cut out just a half circle, like so. And then you have a hole in your cheese. Voila! And then you have Swiss cheese for your picnic. Last but not least, I'm just going to show you how to do the cupcake today, because you're going to be doing all sorts of different kinds of food. So get creative, right? Think of anything that you might possibly want to bring on your picnic. And you don't have to glue all the food down inside your picnic basket. I think it's really fun to also just leave it loose, and then you can play with it with your friends or your sister or your brother, and you can take things out and put things back in. So I'm going to make one of my favorite foods of all times, the cupcake. Who doesn't love a cupcake? You can have any kind of cupcake, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, delicious. So I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to start off by making the bottom part of my cupcake, which is the cupcake holder, right? And if you think about what this shape is, right? It's not a square, but it's, if you were to draw a square, just kind of slightly angled out the sides. So let's think about if we were to draw a square. So I'll draw a square. And you could have a square cupcake holder, why not? But that's a really good place to start if you're like, oh, that looks hard. And then I'm going to take this bottom corner and I'm going to draw a diagonal line. I'm going to flare my square out on both sides. And then I'm going to get rid of my square inside lines because I don't need those anymore. Actually, I don't need this, anything but the bottom line. So now I'm going to end up with the actual muffin kind of bottom shape. And then this part is, instead of a straight line, we're going to slightly curve it down towards its bottom. And voila, I have a muffin slash cupcake holder, whatever you want to call it. And then we're just going to draw the lines, and they're all angled lines. So we're just going to follow the angle of the outside lines. Start off on doing 2 outside lines and then just slightly start to come in until you meet in the middle. And now you have your cupcake liner. Now for the top of your cupcake, this is always so much fun. Students always think this is a really hard part. But once you see how to do it, you'll be like, whoa, that's a lot easier than I thought. So I'm just going to make kind of a worm shape. This kind of looks like a worm to me, this bottom line here. It's a curved line curving down, and then 2 little rounded edges where if I were to draw a little face, it would look kind of like a worm. So I'm going to go over the side, curved line, over this side with a curved line, and then I'm just going to slightly wrap down, and I have the bottom part of my frosting, and each time I move up, I'm going to bring those outside curved lines closer towards the center. That's going to make it look like it's tearing up. So I'm going to do curved line, and they can be different widths, right? Don't feel like they have to be exactly the same. Curved line, and voila. And you can keep going. You don't have to have just 3, but once you're ready to get that sort of dollop on the top, if you kind of find the middle point, get a little point going, like almost like a really pointy triangle, and then just kind of round it down to meet those layers of delicious frosting. And then the color's up to you. You could go back over your pencil lines with a darker marker. You could add some sprinkles. You could add a piece of fruit like a cherry or a strawberry on top. You could make it all brown like a chocolate cupcake. It's really up to you. Once you get all of your fruits, vegetables, snacks, sweets, whatever it might be, then you're going to bring back your picnic basket that has its dried pipe cleaners. Right? You've got the cool basket weave on the outside, whether whether you use pencil or marker, it doesn't matter. Remember we did marker for the first one. And then you're going to take all of your delicious items, place them in your picnic basket, however you'd like. If you want to leave them loose, and so that way you can play with them over and over and over again, especially if you have a sibling at home. That's really fun because then you can trade with the different food items that you brought on your picnic. And then if you don't want to keep them loose, then you're going to go ahead and now take your glue stick, flip them over, and glue them down. Just be careful not to glue them on the fold because you want to be able to open and close it really easily. Or you put them all together, you close up your basket, and then you have a fun little interactive picnic basket art piece. Well, I hope you liked this project. I had a lot of fun making this. Made me really hungry. I think I'm going to go get some cupcakes. Thanks for making art with me.